Hello, my name is Omar Abasad. It is 5:05 p.m. November 15, 2023, 25 Bamberg Circle in Toronto. So just to give you the time, time and date, 15th November, you see that, 5:05 p.m. Okay, so I'm doing this um, a recorded video rather than live. That's why I'm doing that. So I've been tweeting a lot of ECGs and so on, so I didn't do much of that today. There's no point because every day it's almost the same thing. Um, because an algorithm is being run during the day. So a lot of the time, except when I'm eating, when the power goes way up, and I'll show you some ECGs. And I'll show you some ECGs when they do that. And it shows in the voltage in the in the graph. Um, uh, it's not. I mean, I'm going to stop doing as many as I've been doing in the past, simply because I'm accumulating some data to go to court. So I'm going to have to stop tweeting these live ECGs. So, and believe me, there is just so much information and just so much information that AI will pick up that even if the WEF uh, um, agenda pushers fixes it with a dirty judge, it'd be hard for the judge to ignore. It'd be hard for the judge to ignore all the data from FDA cleared devices. So, anyways, um, just a comment about some videos that I took outside today. Gil Furtado is a police contractor. He says as much. He says that he has a contract on me. He talks about it to almost everybody in the loading dock within earshot. He knows I'm listening. Um, he's loud. He swears to get attention. When he swears, then I go out and I look because he has a volatile temper and he can be unpredictable. I know his son is because his son drops his pants in the lobby and in the parking lot. Um, and it does. Sometimes he does it in front of his parents. Not drop pants, but says weird things and acts in a strange way. So very unpredictable. Um, and I know Gil Furtado is framing me and setting me up as part of the targeting program that's being run against me. So I commented on Twitter about trafficking. So my personal story, as I realizing as time goes on and things are being made, they're making me aware of what went on in the past because part of the targeting program and the mind control and the psyop that they're running is to dig up the past and bring it into your present and have you relive it. So you're constantly, it's like a car stuck in snow, in a snowbank, and you're spinning your wheels and you're going nowhere. Well, that's exactly what they want you to do. They take away your money, they take away your relationships, they take away everything, and they have you in this standstill position, and then they can work on you, basically. So this memory, this rehashing of memory, is part of that. So, and I know they're doing this to other members of my family, and I know they did this to my mother as well. Because my mother would say to me, Chia, I keep getting this dream over and over and over again, traumatizing dream about her past. And a lot of things that are being talked about outside the window. I heard it from my mother. interestingly enough. How's that for coincidences, right? I also get dreams that repeats itself. Like in my case, there is a dream that I am sleeping on the side of the street, right? So I leave outside, I leave inside of a building, and I go and sleep at the side of the street. And this dream repeats itself over and over. So today I heard homelessness. So of course there's probably no connection at all, but probably there is, because remember, this is a deeply um, organized and well thought out um, psyop because it's military run. I have absolutely no doubt that it is military run, none at all. Um, so where was I going with this? So yeah, so I tweeted the two videos that I took outside the window. So it's come to the point, the targeting, which now I'm realizing is really a procurement process that is ongoing, because once you're procured and vulnerable kids, like people in Ukraine whose children are disappearing, parents die, children are disappearing. This is procurement, and it goes on in war zones all the time. Well, it goes on in Canada when vulnerable immigrants come in, and there are organizations and groups of people in school settings and streets that are trained to pinpoint vulnerable families. And the kids from these vulnerable families are procured to be trafficked for whatever reason. It could be organ donation, it could be for sex, it could be for labor, it could be for enslavement, um, for other reasons, by a family, for instance. So the entire family is targeted to procure the kids. So in order to take the kids, then you have to destroy the family, which happens all the time. It happens all the time in Toronto. So there was um, uh, a news item in this week about Nygaard being found guilty for 4 counts. Well, to say that's just it's not even the tip of the iceberg. It's like a drop on the tip of the iceberg of what he did. So, and this went on for years and years and years and years and years. So somebody like Nygaard or Epstein don't operate without a network supporting his operation, right? So you have doctors, you have lawyers, you have um, people who are doing the drugs or supplying the drugs. You have the police. You have this whole network of people who knows exactly what's going on, and everything is fixed, everything is covered, and it goes on in front of everybody, and nobody says anything. Well, that's exactly what's going on here with Gil Furtado. Everybody knows what's going on. So I'm 63 years old. Just imagine, I am 63 years old, and Gil Furtado is saying she's a target, and she has to fuck with somebody. I am 63 years old. Keep that in mind, folks. Okay? I'm 63 years old. So if they could do this to a 63-year-old woman, could you imagine? And I'm realizing some of the psyop that they're running on me. Could you imagine what is being done to kids? What the network that's operating in this building that includes Gil Furtado, because I've had a Chinese woman outside my window with a young girl on her lap talking about Gil Furtado being a good trainer. So obviously he's not only training me, and everybody knows what he does, like Nygaard, Epstein, and God knows how many other people. Right? You could look at my resume, and I was looking at it, and there are a few of them that I spent 4 or 5 years. And then I started doing contracts because I started getting a lot of contracts. And I kept leaving the work because I was getting harassed in the workplace. So now, in retrospect, of course, the harassment was part of the ongoing targeting. I was supposed to be harassed. That's what targets experience. Targets are supposed to be abused and harassed by everybody because you're supposed to be lower than everybody else. Okay, so this program that's being run on me, obviously, very very clearly, is not only being run on me. Again, I'll point out, I'm 63 years old. I came to this country, I was 16 and a half, right? I was 16 years old. And about a year and a half after coming into Toronto, I started noticing people doing strange things around me. Like I'd have a white person sit in a food court, and instead of eating with knife and a fork, which normally they would, they'd start eating with their hands. So they would be reflecting what I would do in my house. I still eat with my hands. I like eating with my hands. Nothing dirty about eating with your hands as long as your hands are clean. You cook with your hands. Why could you not eat with your hands? I have people walk past me and say she eats with her hands in a denigrating way. It's like, you know what? You know what you could do with your comment. Of course, I don't verbalize it because we have to keep the peace after all, and plus, it's not even worth saying anything about. But I note it, right? And it's supposed to be insulting, and I'm thinking, yeah. Uh, anyway, not going into too much detail. What's going on outside the window with Gil Furtado, and there was another white man and there's a black man. But Gil Furtado is a very racist man, extremely, extremely racist. He's not only selling me, a Caribbean person from Trinidad, he's selling Chinese too, but the Chinese are doing it with consent, some of them. Now some of them are doing it out of out of fear. They're scared of the Chinese warlords because they're brutal. They're utterly and completely cruel, as some of my oxygen files show. So last night I pulled the oxygen file and I saw 15 minutes without data. So I flatlined most likely. So this oximeter wasn't picking up. It went offline, one possibility, or it dropped so much, my heart rate dropped so much that it wasn't picking up the signals at all, which is sometimes what happens. Um, but I'm still here. And believe you me, resuscitation is not always the answer as to why I'm here. Um, I've been studying the technology and I've just started. I mean, if you really go into it, there is so much you can learn from what they're doing. There is this technological side and the science side. There is a psychological side. There is the emotional side. And there is a spiritual side. There is a spiritual side. So, and I've talked about this before. Growing up as a child, I wasn't really knowingly, I didn't do anything with um, the conscious knowledge of being spiritual. I just absorbed it from my environment, my mother specifically my mother. She just, without being in a prayer or without doing anything official, like like kneeling and praying, although she did sit and pray a lot. Um, but even when she didn't do that, there was something about my mother that clicked with me on this spiritual level, and it was just this frequency that just clicked, and it was like this information um, stream was coming into me just because it clicked. I shouldn't have to say anything, and interestingly enough, she never hit that I remember. Maybe she slapped me a few times in the butt when I was a child, under 3 years. But as I got older, I can't remember getting hit by my mother, and that's probably because we were in sync. I probably was in sync, and same thing with my father. I was in sync with him because I was in this. I slept in his arms for 5 years, so I was in sync with him, so he never hit. Um, I can remember maybe getting hit maybe about 5 times. And for Indian, if you know Indian parents, that's like almost nothing. So yeah, so you're talking about the spiritual side of this, what is going on here, which is what's saving me. So when I go to bed, I don't necessarily think, oh my God, they're going to kill me tonight, which God knows. If you look at my ECG, I swear to God, I get unconscious. I go under, um, and this my pulse rate drops under 40. It's like 36 sometimes. That's like in a coma, okay? And then I wake up and I feel completely rested. It's very strange. Um, so that in a semi-conscious state, then your consciousness in a spiritual level, from what I understand, and science is backing this up, your vibration, um, and at loss for the right words, the core of the vibrations that is keeping your body together, because your body is a vibration, and if it stops vibrating at a certain frequency, then the body disintegrates. So that core vibration that keeps the body together um, expands outside of your body, and if it travels through your spinal column, um, and it expands, then you can pull it back in if you want to continue living. So again, okay, so that's my take on what happens. I could be totally wrong, which I doubt, but this is what I mean. It's so interesting about what's going on. The technology that they're experimenting with. If there are chips in your body, then it alters the frequency of your body. If there is a chip in your heart, it alters the frequency of your heart. If there's one in your brain, then it alters your brain. So, and it could be a good thing. It can be altered in a good way, or it can be altered in a bad way. Okay, it depends on who's accessing it. So if you look at my graphs that I post, you follow me on Twitter, you will see in my oxygen graph that some days the oxygen is 80, 90, 98, 99, which makes me think that there is nothing wrong with my lungs and there's nothing wrong with my heart when the voltage is low. But when I'm hit with these technologies, then immediately the oxygen drops, the heart rate goes erratic, and all kinds of funny things happen with the ECGs. So whatever technology that's being used is being calibrated and refined to get certain results. Again, very interesting science, right? So I'm on the receiving end of this. So I'm doing this study going backwards. So I'm doing a reverse study, right? So I'm on the receiving end. So I'm taking the results of these experiments, because they are experiments, and using my spiritual background and the little science that I know and what I researched to figure out what it is they're doing, how it is they're doing it. Well, we know why they're doing it, and learn from it. Because again, like I said, there's a spiritual side to this. There is a spiritual side to this. So, depressed? No. But yes, absolutely, they can run depression through your brain. So I posted this link actually on my Twitter account. They've got this helmet now. It's a company called Emotiv, Emotiv, and they've got electrodes, a capital electrodes that you can track your brainwave patterns, just like a heart, and you can see what happens when you're hit with electricity. Your brain is scrambled basically. I think one version of it is like $500, which is not bad. So I'm thinking seriously of getting that. I mean, this is interesting stuff. But it will also show depression. And again, they can run depression through your head, just like they can run a dream through you. And I suspect that they're pulsing the dream sequences using lasers into my retina or some form of a laser. It's directly into my retina because when the oxygen drops to 70 or less and I go into this coma state, I start having these repetitive dreams. And when I wake up, my head is hot, the electricity in my ECG is skyrocketing, the voltage is extremely high, my heart is racing, and my body is hot. Not only my head, my body is hot, and my eyes are painful, which makes me think that these images are being pulsed through the retina, and definitely the emotions are running through the brain. Very, very, very interesting technology, which I suspect is being used in our children already, not only for sexual enslavement and customizing, like Russell Williams was doing. He was experimenting. Russell Williams, it was covered up, obviously, just like mine is. They're trying to cover up mine, only I'm exposing it, so which is why they're coming after me so aggressively, and I'm sure one day they will kill me, basically. I have absolutely no doubt that one day they will kill me. But people are coming into my home, there are signs of forced entry. They're probably putting poisons and drugs in my food. And no matter what I do, I've put deadbolts on, I've put locks on, I've put another kind, I've put biometric locks on. They broke that. They killed, I don't know what they did with the sensor. I put really big locks on. They picked that. It doesn't matter what kind of lock I put on, they come in. This is professionally done. So because they have to have access to me, to my possessions, which they vandalize, and to my food and my stuff that they could put not only poisons. I mean, if people want to poison you, they can poison you while you're walking the street. So I'm thinking that they're not poisoning me, but they definitely are drugging me. They're putting drugs in the food that they want to experiment with, most likely. So, and I think Gil Furtado is part of that network that's doing that. And he's making, no doubt, he's not making a secret. There's no secret about it. He's just talking openly about what he's doing. Openly. And the cops come when he calls. And if I verbalize, because what he said is very, very upsetting, inside of my home, he calls the cops. And the cops come. And I heard he's taking samples of what goes through my bathroom, kitchen, and he's talking about drugs. There's never been any drugs. I've never taken any drugs. I've never smoked marijuana. I tried cigarettes a long, long, long time ago. I couldn't do that. I was vomiting all over the place. I've never done any kind of drugs. I'm not interested in doing any kind of drugs because from the technology that they're using, you don't need drugs to manipulate your emotional state of mind, let me tell you. They could stimulate your brain wave patterns in which way they want and make it look like you're doing drugs. They can stimulate your spinal column. They can hit your spinal column, your chakras, and change the frequency and make you feel a certain way. You don't need drugs to do that. By the way, you could do that yourself through meditation. So I don't need drugs. Why put drugs in your body when you could do the same thing and get the same results just simply by turning on your brain and thinking? Makes no sense, right? Why poison your body? God knows. They're being poisoned enough already. So I just wanted to make that comment that what's going on outside the window, it seems to be at the end of the process of procurement. It seems to be where they started when I was 16 years old, and now I'm 63, and they want to dispose of me. They have to close the file, and make it absolute that I'm a prostitute, which I never was. Of course, I'm not. Um, that some sort of there's criminal activity going on, which of course never was, still is not, even though they're coming in and I think they're placing drugs in my place. And I heard about something about guns because I saw black people that look like they belong to gangs, and if they're breaking into my place, very possible they could place a gun in my place and say I have weapons in my place, and they're forcing this association or what looks like association. So, for instance, people would come through the gatehouse and say, "I'm here to see Oma," and might be a black gang member who have a gun in his car that's registered to him. Okay, association. There was somebody. So if the police goes and look at the records, oh, so and so visited you so and so time, never happened. This is what I mean by false records, and I think that some of the dirty cops are making those false records as well, because I heard a cop got me in a ditch one day. That never happened. I was never drunk in a ditch ever, ever in my life, ever. So false documents are being created as well to paint me. So at the end of the process, you have this file that absolutes. I heard it's absoluted that I am whatever it is that they painted me as. As I said, some sort of a criminal activity. I said I was painted for drugs because my face was swelling up, which they do with the technology. And I'm sick, which they do with the technology. Um, and I heard somebody said, my sister said I stole from her. There was a missing watch, a Rolex. I heard a Rolex. Didn't even know my brother owned a Rolex. I didn't have a clue, so that's news to me. Um, you know, so no, I don't. I'd never stole from my brother, because if I asked my brother for money, even if we had differences, he'd still give it to me. So there was no need to steal from my brother. Even though he was under complete mind control, because he was a target, he relented a lot of times. Um, so there was no need to really steal from him. Uh, and of course, I don't steal. There's no point, because when I say, well, there is no point, I mean, not that I think about stealing. There is no motivation to do that. Absolutely not, because there are so many other ways to get what I want, which I do. So the thought just doesn't occur to me, because I know I could, if whatever I want, I will get eventually, because my thoughts materialize like that. When I think about it, it happens. Whatever, it may take a little bit of time, but it happens. So there is no point in stealing. No motivation to steal. No cause to steal. No reason to steal. So anyway, and right now my eyes are being hit. Yeah. So let me take an ECG while I'm on video, and I'll close this off. It's going on 30 minutes. Let me moisten my hand a bit. And I'm going to let's do the right eye. Okay. Oh, you have a diagnosis? No. It says normal. So let me see what the graph looks like. See the graph? So you see there is up and down. There's a waviness. That's always there. And I think that's arrhythmia. But the voltage in the eye should not be that high. Look at the voltage. It's approaching 1. The eye should not be that high. Because my eyes was pulsed just now. So I'm going to take um, a regular ECG. That's where you'd put an electrode. And that's a lot of electricity. Oh, interrupted. And I just hiccuped, so I just got hit. Try again. It says too short, so you don't even get it. I'm hiccuping, so I'm getting hit on the chest. No. See that it says it's interrupted? The connection is being interrupted because I'm getting pulse. Okay, so let me just hold it close. See if the signals will not get interrupted. Okay, so normal, and the electricity is approaching 1.5. And I was going to show you the screen freezes up really quickly for some reason. And that's the graph. But you see the waviness? That's arrhythmia. Okay, so I'm going to stop here. It's been 35 minutes. Yeah, so as I was saying, there's no depression because if you raise your consciousness above what's going on, you never get depressed because there's always these opportunities to learn from what's going on. It doesn't matter how bad it is. I mean, somebody could throw you in a latrine and your will to survive will pull you through, and you can even learn from that. And let me tell you, there's a lot of people in this world who are in latrines right now. Like some people outside the window.